blooming right now. The almond trees are in full bloom. Hey guys, welcome back. Yeah, as you saw, the almond trees are in full bloom. The bees are buzzing. They're out there pollinating, hopefully doing their job and setting the crop for this year. So yeah, we're on our way to the shop. Well, actually, we got to make a stop, get a couple parts, and then gotta go check on the mowers. We got the mowers back out in the field last week, and they're gonna work on some pistachios today, and then maybe some almonds, and try to get some stuff done before the next round of rain. And then we're gonna go to the shop, and I think today I'm gonna maybe start doing baler inspections. So just maybe walk around one of them and kind of just make a checklist, and I'll show you guys what I look for and see what else we find. A lot of times, it seems like every year I find something new that I've never had a problem with or never had wear on or whatever. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. My truck is in the shop getting worked on. Long story. So I'm in the old stick shift millennial anti-theft device right there. So yeah, long story short, last video where we were changing the sending units because my tanks were not transferring. Well, that experiment failed, so it's at the at a shop right now getting worked on. Thinking it has something to do with the ECM, the engine control monitor, engine computer. Long story on my truck. It's been in the shop on and off for a while, and went in for the turbo. The turbo was bad, and then it, came out with all kinds of other new goodies. And now the only thing that's not working is my tanks aren't transferring. So, but we'll get it figured out. So, all right, let's go to the shop. So there's what it looks like after. Before. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks considering the conditions. The floors aren't super flat. Like you can see ruts out here, and then I think they've probably actually disced this up rather than floated it, so it's a little rough and uneven, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. Walking, trying to catch up to the mower, and I kept seeing these weeds pop through the ground, but they're actually pistachios growing out of the shell. I've seen the almonds do it. I've never seen a pistachio do it. So these have probably been sitting here since harvest, and the rain and the weather, now it's warming up, so they just sprouted. Not sure how good of a pistachio tree it would make, but interesting nonetheless. Kind of cool. Now we're going to grind them up. Bye-bye. Alright, well, fast forward today. We skipped a day. So I didn't film anymore after we saw the mowers last, and you guys can probably tell because I got a haircut. So we're going to inspect these a little bit and just kind of get an idea and a feel for what we got to do. Hopefully not too much, but there's always something. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm climb up in the cab and get a bale count. We'll look at this one first. This one is the newest of all the balers we have. So fire the screen up, see what the bell count is. Ignore. Well, it seems we've already ran into our first problem. The screen won't fire up. So, get out and check. Things sit for a while, and tank connections get dirty and whatnot. So, we'll get back to you. Alright, well, can't get the screen to fire up, but we'll just add it to the list of stuff to look at, right? So, okay, I'm going to open everything up, let the PTO run, kind of just, let the baler work itself loose, trip the stuff for a couple times, and then we'll shut everything down and check it out. It sounds good. Just listening to it, it sounds really good. It's got a little squeak, but not too bad. Alright, well, I'm just gonna shut it down and get some pry bars and some tools out and start pushing and pulling on stuff. See what's messed up. Okay, well, I may look a little different because I realized I had my nice hat on. I put it on this morning by mistake, so luckily I have an extra hat in my truck that I'm not afraid to get dirty. So, okay, back to the baler. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna line up the timing marks. So most balers have timing marks to go off of, and this baler, what you do is you spin the plunger around until this yellow tab is lined up with the mark on the end of the plunger connecting rod right here. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll go around the baler and we'll make sure that all the timing marks are where they're supposed to be, and that'll tell us, okay, the baler's in time. And I don't doubt that it's in time. There's no reason for it not to be, but you never know. Alright, oh, I'm spinning the flywheel. I'll wait for that arm to come around. Now we're coming up on the mark. So, you just kind of eyeball it. That looks good. So, this baler's got the sticker, obviously, that tells you where to put it, but there's also a stamp in here, so if the sticker ever comes off. So you basically just line up this line here and this tab, and that means you're in time. So then you come around to find the other timing marks, which are here. So put the camera up. So there's one, there's a paint mark and then a stamp, and it's basically got to be lined up with that. So yeah, we're close, we're good. And then there's one up top, so we got to climb the ladder. Flip this up. It's got, oh, here we go. Here's a timing mark. I don't know why it looked different for a second, but there's a mark here and a paint mark here, so we're good. We are in time. We're in time. So now go back down there and we're gonna check the twine finger out. Not the twine finger. We're gonna check the. Geez, I can't think this morning. Not enough coffee. We're gonna check the stuffer clutch out. So there's a little trip arm right here. So see how that's got a little bit of play in it? That's good. That's what you want. So if that was tight, like so tight that you couldn't move it, you'd have to make adjustments on the other side. So let's go look at it. So right here is your stuffer clutch. So inside these, behind these plates, there's a clutch plate, and I have a new one. I'll show you. Those will wear, and the clutch or the stuffer sometimes won't hold itself in place. So if that finger was tight and you couldn't pull it, that means your clutch is loose. So you'd come in here and you tighten these up, and there's 1, 2, 3 bolts, and there's springs on them, and that adjusts the tension on the clutch plates. Now if you kept adjusting it, and nothing's happening, then your friction disc that's in here is probably wore out. Now when this is in the shop, I will pull this apart anyway and just look at it and kind of eyeball the plate and see if I think it's going to make the whole season or it needs to be replaced, and kind of make my call from there. This baler, I forgot, these twine doors, these open up all the way. The two other balers are a little bit older, they don't do that, so this makes it nice for inspections, but I always have to remember how to open it. There we go. Alright, that's nice. Yeah, so see, now you got access to everything, and just look for anything that looks funky. Grease lines look good. There's no cracks. yet. There's the electric motor for the trip on the twine, which I don't know. I kind of have a opinion of that. I think it's really cool, the adjustability from the cab, you know, to change your bail length on the fly. But the only thing I don't like is this case went to, they've had that for a while, and along with that they always had the ability to go back to the mechanical if that motor failed or something happened with the system, which has happened to us. The one of the other balers, that motor's not even hooked up. It's just, we're just using the mechanical trip. It's got the arm on it. But see, this one, if it had it, it would have the star wheel up there, right there, and it does not. So if you lose that, you know, you lose your ability to tie. I don't know. It does look a little bit different than like the first generations that came out, so maybe it's more reliable, but I'm one of those guys, I'm going to trust the mechanical over the electric, but I get the idea behind it. Alright, now take a look at the chains. So, got the big chain on the side that drives the head, the Spain sprocket, drives off of the rotor, and then through all these chains and connections, drives the reel on the head, drives the augers, and everything else. And this is one big long, I think this is like over 10 feet maybe, or right at 10 feet, because usually chain comes in a 10-foot box. And I know we use most of the chain box, if not every bit of it. So it's kind of a long chain. It's kind of a, I don't know, I think they could simplify it a little bit, but anyway, we're going to take a look at all the sprockets and everything. So what I'm looking for is just, you know, wear here, if there's an edge or not. The chain, you know, it's in pretty good shape, but see that side-to-side movement, and I see some slop right there. Probably change the chain. The little guide tensioner, I don't know what they'd call it, because you do the tension here, but this plastic thing is on a spring. So as you tighten this up, the chain's going to tighten and push on this. So I guess maybe it keeps the slop out. The only bad thing about these is they start to wear. See that groove right there? And if you have your chain going the wrong direction, or you have your clip for your master link in there the wrong way, it'll actually flick it out after it gets worn. I know some guys have made something like this, but with a sprocket. So you put a sprocket here, kind of similar to this. Seems to work better. We've kind of just gotten in the habit, maybe about halfway through the season, we just change them, and hasn't been too big of a problem. So here we'll change the chain, and then you guys will see more of this when it's in the shop, but there's a bearing down in here on the reel for the pickup. That bearing down there, we just change it every year no matter what. It's just kind of peace of mind, one of those things. But other than that, the sprockets, they're not in too bad a shape. These are okay. This one is maybe questionable. It's got a little edge on it. The other thing too, I'm pretty particular about chains. I like to use domestic chain, not imported stuff. Yeah, you probably save some money on the domestic chain, but I don't know. If you get a bad chain that stretches, you're also going to tear your sprockets up. And yes, we do change these chains every year because they are worn. So maybe we should go to import, but I ran imports on them, and it seems like halfway, 3/4 of the seat through the season, they are worn worse than that. So when you have chain stretching and wearing prematurely, you're also going to have sprocket failure. So for me, I just use domestic chain. But okay, let's see. You know, we're going to move on to the next one, and I'll show you guys what I do to check the needles or the knotters, because like I said, I can't trip this one like I want to, but these ones I can. Alright, let's see if this screen comes to life. It's thinking. It's thinking. There we go. That's a good sign. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the hours. So 543 and just under 22,000 bales. So 21,945. I don't remember how many it had on it last season. I think it was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something like that. Okay. Alright, well, we're gonna get out. I'm gonna open the chute up, cut the strings, and then I'll come back to you guys when I'm ready to trip them. So when we finished last year, this is probably from when I tripped the baler to eject the last bale. See that knot still stuck on the bill hook? So this thing had just tied, and then we probably pulled out what was ever in there, and yeah, so the knots are stuck on the bill hook. They would have been off, but you know, there was no more hay feeding through the baler to pull them off. So I guess I'm gonna have to flip all these up and then take them off. Might pop off on it. Yeah, see, that one popped off. Uh-oh, what's the deal here? All right, we're ready to cycle the knotters. We got this all tied up out of the way. So we'll do that a couple times, kind of loosen everything up. And then we'll check the needle rollers, get the needles up to the top. And then I will take some of the parts off of the knotters, just kind of show you guys what I look at for wear. And then I kind of want to look at these a little more too, because I'm kind of learning, because this is the new style Twine Pro knotter. We have them on 2 of the balers. So basically it ties the same knot on one end that they've always had, but then it ties a loop knot on the other. So the idea is the loop knot, there's no tail, so it's half the tail's cut. And then it's a stronger knot, which that's what this is. This is the loop knot. It's a stronger knot, so you know, the idea is with a high density, stronger knot, it'll hold the bale better, you know. And maybe you can use a little bit lighter twine than versus going to like a 550 or 600. We run 440 on everything, and you know, it seems to work for what we have to do. But I know there are some cases where guys do need the heavy, you know, higher density twine, but for us it works. So okay, we fire the tractor up, I'll come back up here and we'll cycle these a few times. Alright, so like I was talking earlier, here's the the electric part, but this still has all the mechanical stuff. So it has the metering arm, so we're going to run this up, this will go forward, that'll trip the needles to come up. For this, I'm going to trip it, and I'm going to try to stop pull the brake when the needles are up, but I think I might need to get George to help me with that. George! Yes? Turn the tractor off. Okay. You just let this thing spin, and when it gets going slow, I'm going to trip it, and I'm going to tell you when to pull the flywheel brake. Trying to get the needles up.
Alright, so we can leave the right.
Yeah, just turn the key off, we'll let it slow down, and then, yeah. Alright. Ready? Pull it. Oh, it's spun through it. Dang it. The brake's not tight enough. We'll try again, alright. Ready? Perfect. Thank you. Alright, I gotta go in the office and see my boss now. She called me. Luke, please report to the principal's office. Again. Okay, now let me get this set where you guys can see. We have the needle. So we're going to go through and just feel these rollers here. They feel, that one feels kind of rough, but for the most part, kind of, yeah, some of them are tight. These are kind of one of those things, like for me, if I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do all of them. I don't think well, no, we didn't do anything to this one last year because this baler was new to us. I think this is a year 20. Kind of floated around as a rental. I think we even had it a time or two. I think it had like 6 to 8,000 bales on it, and so really next to nothing. And I don't know, these don't, like I said, some of them, that one's tight, but I think what I'll do when it's in the shop, we'll take them apart and really get a better look at them, and either kind of touch it up or change all of them. Now this is kind of just a quick overview. This is not the actual overhaul of them, and there's going to be more stuff that we find, but this is kind of just my first general look at them, to see if anything major is standing out, kind of know what to expect. So yeah, then you got these rollers up here for the little tensioner arms. These usually stay pretty good for a couple seasons. They all feel pretty good, and then I like to tug on the twine tensioners, make sure they're free. There is like an actual set tension that they're supposed to have. I think it's like between like 13 or 17 pounds, something like that, and you can do it with a fish scale. You tie it to the scale and you pull on it, and you just see how many pounds it takes until those start to move. For me, I just kind of have a feel for it with my hand, like, okay, that's too little, that's too much, that kind of stuff. You just make sure it's freed and working. So now, and we're going to look at the back of the gears. So this gear, the back of it's showing because of the position the knotters are in, so we're going to look for wear. There's a little bit of wear. Let me get a pencil I don't have my pencil I was going to point with. I'll get my knife. How about that? Okay, so this gear right here drives the worm gear, which in turn drives this gear for the twine disc. So we'll look for wear here, and there's a little bit right there, right at the edge of my knife, but it's fine. I think we'll be okay for the season there. Same here, there's a little bit, and it's right here on this lip, and it's probably from hitting this part of the cam, when these things turn and these things flip around. But all in all, they look pretty good. I might have some old gears. Maybe I can show you guys some of the wear that I've seen before, because I've had these things, I've had them down so bad to where they're worn down to this, like this whole lip right here is gone down to this spline. So yeah, these all look pretty good. And then the edge of the twine discs look pretty good. They're still pretty round. There's no edges on there. They all look pretty good. And again, this is just a quick look at everything. Of course, when we get everything in the shop, we'll take a better look at it. Now, with my own experience with these things, it seems like the knotters stay in pretty good shape up until about that 55 to 60,000 bale range is when you'll start to see wear that's bad enough that you'll start encountering misties or other problems. Now, I mean, you're always going to have the broken roll pin in the gear every once in a while, and that kind of stuff. But as long as you kind of keep these things maintained and adjusted, adjust for the wear, that 55 to 60,000 bale mark is a pretty good number to go off of. That's the first baler I got, first new one that I got. I think when we got rid of it, it had like 92,000, something like that on it. And knotters worked perfect. We got up to that 55, 60,000 mark, and it wasn't like a consistent thing. It was like an intermittent. You would adjust this one over here because you're having problems. You get it working good, and then your problem would go over here, and then it might go back. And I think all it is wear. Because every time these things cycle, all the parts spin,
So if you have wear, every time it cycles, your twine disc might land in a different spot and it'll be out of time, so then it'll mistie. So yeah, that 55 to 60,000 bale mark is probably a good idea, just to strip it all apart and just really look at what kind of wear and stuff you're having. So that being said, we're gonna go turn the baler on real quick, let these needles go back down, and then we'll flip one of these up. And I got my 13 millimeter with me. We'll take the bill hook tensioner off. Look at that, and then we'll pull these tensioner springs out. Take a look at those. Take a look at one of the twine holders, just on one, just to get an idea. I'm not going to get too far deep into this, so just to kind of get an idea for what's coming. Okay, let's pull this pin. Take a look at this one. Watch your fingers pulling these things up. We'll start by taking the twine tensioner off, not the twine tensioner, the bill tensioner, which is this plate right here. So see, this deal keeps tension on this roller based off of this spring right here. So for me, we'll go through this when we adjust. You don't want it real tight. I mean, you want it a little loose. You can kind of move that thing around. But yeah, we'll start with taking this off first. See what she looks like. I need to put a magnet up here to hold all the stuff. The other balers have one, this one doesn't. Okay, so you got the actual tensioner and then the spring here. So what you're looking for in the spring is that it's flat across. A lot of times if these things are bad, they'll be kind of bowed down because they've been over tensioned. So this one looks good. And then with these, you want to kind of look right here in this little cavity that the bill hook rolls in. A lot of times you'll kind of develop a groove. There's kind of a mark. There's a mark right here, like from it, the constant tying and moving. A lot of times, if you don't have that much wear, or if you're in a bind out in the middle of the night, you can get a burr bit and a die grinder, kind of smooth this out to get you by. This one doesn't look too bad. There's not a real big groove there, so I think we'll be okay. So, but like I said, we'll get more into it, as we tear these things apart more. So I'm going to put this back up here. Just loop. I'm not really using the right wrench. I have a truck parked next to me out in the yard, but it's not my truck, so I don't exactly have all my tools. Yeah, so I don't exactly have the right tools. The truck I'm driving doesn't have all the metrics and stuff I need, but I've got a set of pliers, right? So don't judge on using the wrong tools. I'm just using what I got. I'm not in the shop yet. About in the middle of the yard. There's the springs. And then pop the holder out. Oh, little buddy. There we go. Okay. So with these twine holders, basically you just want to see what the wear looks like and if there's any sharp edges on here. This one feels okay. And again, I have some fresh parts, so as we move along into the other videos on these, I'll kind of show you guys and compare. But all right, let me put this back in and I'll show you guys kind of what this does. If I can, there we go. There we go. Come on, little buddy. Okay. So there's a twine holder right here. This is the twine disc, and then you have the cleaner, which this is also something we found we needed. The Twine Pros, when they first came out, they did not have this cleaner, which most knotters have them, and it works okay without them, But when you get into like leafy or like fine stem hay, it seems like the leaves maybe would build up right there and you'd start having mist ties. So we put those cleaners in there and that seemed to solve the problem. I don't know if that's been an update that they put on them now, but I kind of brought it to one of the case reps' attentions that needed to be something put in there. So this sits in here. The twine is held in between the holder and the disc, and you know the disc will grab the twine. Let's look at one that's down. We'll grab the twine and spin it around, you know, while it makes the tie in the bill hook and everything else. But you want to make sure you have your tension set decent, and that's where these springs come in. So the springs go down in there and they push on that holder, and you can kind of regulate the length of your tail with the tension on the springs. I run the outside ones a little bit looser. When they're a little bit looser, as that thing's tying, it kind of allows the knot to, or the twine to get pulled through there a little bit more, kind of making that tail a little bit longer. So with that longer tail, that just gives you kind of a little more, like, you know, as every time the bale comes out and the bale decompresses, I guess, you know, it's going to stretch that twine and stretch that tail. Well, the longer that tail is, the farther it has to go before it, you know, may slip. So you make that tail a little bit longer. And I pretty much only do that on the outside ones. But yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown. You just set it with this bolt and this jam nut. And let's see, the last thing we'll look at, this is kind of a really quick and dirty video, but I won't take them off, but is your knife arm. So you have the red, orange, whatever that is, blade right there. That's what's going to cut the string after it's tied. And then you have this lip right here that's going to wipe the twine off the bill hook. So two things you want to look at is the shape and the wear on here, and then also how hard it's wiping the bill hook. And it's really technical on how to set that. If it's not wiping, you just get a hammer and you just smash it down to where it just brushes that. You don't want it too hard because it'll, you know, might bind the knotter up. But yeah, that's how technical it is. You just get your big heavy ball peen hammer and smack that cast iron knife arm until it wipes it on there, and that's how you set it. I don't really think that's how they say to do it in the book, but that's how I do it. So, okay. The other thing we'll check when we get in there is the bearings on the twine fingers. I'll take these off. You also have the little roller bearings on the tucker arms. Check those out. And then the roll pins that hold this arm to the twine finger. I usually change those out because those roll pins will wear. And then if you get a twine finger arm that comes out and you get a twine finger bound up, you will have a miss tie all the way across. If one twine finger misses, most of the time all of them miss. And usually when a twine finger rod or something locks up like that, you usually end up breaking a knife arm or bending one. And then it turns from a $1 roll pin repair to a like $300 to $400 knife arm change. And nobody wants that. So we've kind of found we just change the roll pins every year, no matter what. And then you got the roller bearings under here that run on this track that move the tucker arms up and down. And then the other one moves, what does that do? This one, the inside one does the tucker arm. And this one right here runs, well, I don't remember what it runs. Oh no, this runs the twine fingers. So as this thing spins around, this bearing right here follows this track, and then the tucker arms swing around and move and do what they got to do. But these bearings, just for peace of mind, I just change them every year. They are serviceable, and you'll see that. They have a little like grease needle, grease fitting, but I don't know. I've kind of found when we take them apart and inspect them, they're pretty much locked up anyway, so we will buy new ones and grease them, put our grease in them. Not, you know, sometimes bearings you buy, they have cheap grease in them, and they seem to last all season. It's still one of those things, you change them every year, but I don't know. You put 15 to 25,000 bales a year on, it's kind of like, just change it. I don't want to have problems. Let's see real quick. The hay dogs here. Oh, look there's a problem right there. There's a stopper that's supposed to be here on this twine finger plate. I don't know if you can see how this one has this stopper plate that this thing will rest against. That one is broken. So what will happen if that's broke, this will not stop. It'll overextend back and get caught, and when one twine finger gets stuck, they all get stuck, and then you have misties. So there's a problem that's avoided. We need to change that. The hay dogs, you just want to make sure they're sticking up above the chamber a little bit. I've had these balers wear right here to where this hay dog is stuck underneath the chamber, and you don't want that. You have funny looking bales. So what I've done, I've taken a piece of metal and welded one right there, and that fixes that. So yeah, for Nodders, it's kind of a quick and dirty rundown. It's probably they're a lot more technical than I made them sound, but that's pretty much it. But I wish I could just say, well, they were working when we parked it, but you can't do these with these things. If you don't want to have any trouble, you got to look at them and adjust them and just, you know, make sure everything's working. So we'll go down to the bottom. I got one more thing to show you guys I forgot. All right, we're going to look inside the stuffer chamber here. They got some plastic liners in there that they wear. I should take these ribs out, but I don't know if you see the liners there. They're bolted on with rivets. Well, the head of the rivets are gone. So we're going to take those out. We'll put new liners in, new rivets. And then I'm going to look at something on the bottom here, but I'll probably have to show you on the other baler. This is different. They've changed this metal right here, which still is probably a little too thin, but it's a little bit better. But I'll show you on the other balers. We've had this wear right here, and we replace it with steel. Also want to make it a point just to tell all you guys, when you're working on these, set the brake. Set the brake. Turn the tractor off. Okay, the other two are different. I think it's this one. Let's see. So, yeah, there's a piece of metal that overlaps onto where the UHMW is. Those get thin and wear out, especially from the factory. They're really thin. So we've actually cut them out and welded in like our own piece of like 3/16. Those are getting kind of thin, so we'll probably cut those out and weld them. It's really not that big a deal. And then too, like I've explained in other videos, we'll weld the tips up of these just to build up the rotors, get more life out of them. And you know, there's other miscellaneous bearings and things, and like there's a bushing in here and this pivot arm we'll have to change, but other than that, that's pretty much the quick rundown, excuse me, of what we got to do to them. So yeah, anyway, all right, well, stay tuned for the upcoming baler overhaul videos. So hope this gave you guys a quick little insight as to what we got to do. Kind of quick and dirty, like I said before, but we're not really into them yet, but we will be. So, yep. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks.